Well, hello everybody and welcome to Chef's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make what I'm going to call is the perfect chocolate brownie. So nice and slightly gooey in the centre. It's a very easy recipe. Brownies tend to be very easy. I mean, it doesn't take too long, but it's going to be in the oven for 40 to 50 minutes. So there is a bit, and then it has to cool down. So there's a bit of waiting time involved as well. Now, I'm not actually the greatest lover of brownies. I don't mind a little bit, but I don't eat very much of a brownie, I have to say. However, my niece loves them, so she'll be getting most of them. So I'd start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And I have greased a 9 by 13 inch, which is 23 by 32, 33 centimetre pan, and I've lined it with parchment paper so that it's easy to take the brownies out. You could leave them in there and cut them to shape in there, but I like to take them out. So that's everything prepared, so I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 360 grams, which is almost 13 ounces of dark chocolate. Now I'm using a combination of 51% chocolate and 70% chocolate. You can use whatever dark chocolate you want basically. And I have chopped mine up into small pieces and quite finely. And I've found the best way of doing that is actually to use a serrated knife like this. So it has the serrations there, and it's much the easiest way of chopping the chocolate up as opposed to a knife with a flat blade or a flat edge. And then I also have 200 grams, 1 cup of light brown sugar. I have 227 grams, 1 cup of unsalted butter, 4 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, and I will beat those together before I need them. 75 grams, half a cup of plain flour, and that's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 3 grams of salt, half a teaspoon of salt, 4 grams, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 5 milliliters, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 75 grams, which is about 6 tablespoons of chocolate chips. And that's all the ingredients. And I'll start off, just so that I don't forget, by putting my baking powder into my flour, and I'll give that a mix around to get that combined. Then I can set that to one side because that's one of the last things to go into the brownie mix. So then I take a large bowl, and into that I'm going to put my butter and my chocolate. And I'm going to heat that on a double boiler or a bain-marie until it's melted and combined into a nice silky smooth mixture. So I have hot water in here, which I'm going to bring up to a simmer. And I'm going to put my bowl on the top. Now the water must not touch the bowl. And I'm going to simmer that, stirring occasionally until the butter has melted and the chocolate has dissolved and melted into it. So I'll put the heat on and I'll just let that start to melt, and then I'll start to stir it. So my water is simmering now, I can hear that, and you can see that the bowl is heating up, and the heat from the bowl will melt the chocolate into the butter. So that has mixed through, and there's a little bit of butter still to melt, but the residual heat is going to melt that butter. So I'll take that off the heat, and with that off the heat like that, I'm going to put my sugar in, and I'll put the vanilla extract in at this stage. I'm going to just mix that around. Now I should say, if you don't have light brown sugar, you can use caster sugar or granulated sugar. It will work fine. It's just that the light brown sugar gives a lovely extra flavour. I'm only mixing that until any lumps have broken down, basically. I'm going to pour my salt in as well and mix that through. You could mix that into the flour, but I'll put it in here at this stage. And then I've beaten my eggs, and I'm going to mix those in as well and get those fully combined. And that's fine. So with the eggs mixed in, I'm going to then put my flour in, and I'm just going to mix that until that's fully incorporated. Just fold that through, and as that becomes incorporated, I'm going to stir in my chocolate chips. And you could use different chocolate chips, or you could omit them completely. It's entirely up to you. And so I'll put the chocolate chips in. I just give those a stir through. And then I'm going to pour that into my prepared pan. And that's easy enough to do. And then I'm just going to tip that like that and get that into the corners. Give it a shake. I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it for about 40 to 50 minutes until it rises up and the top crisps, and it could begin to break up the top. That's fine. And then when it's baked through, I'm going to take it out of the oven, and I'm going to leave it in the pan until it's cooled completely. Then I'll take it out of the pan and I'll come back and show you the results. So I baked my perfect chocolate brownies for 45 minutes. They rose up and they formed a crust on the top, but not quite as some do. And I think that's probably because I was using the fan assistance in my oven, as opposed to the static oven temperature, or so I use convection rather than static, and that does actually make a slight difference to how the top bakes. But everything looked perfectly fine, so I took it out of the oven, left it to cool down, and I've now cut half of it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here is the half that I haven't cut, and I've cut the other half into 12 pieces. And it certainly looks nice and moist on the inside. So I'll have a taste of this piece. It's very, very chocolatey. nice and moist with a little bit of a crunch on the top as well. So I think these are very, very good indeed, and it's a very easy recipe to make. So that's going to be it for today. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.